Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Silver Stave, the Chicago Chamber Choir's very first online gala. My name is Christopher Windle, and I am the Artistic Director of the Chicago Chamber Choir. We're here tonight to celebrate and support the upcoming 25th anniversary season of this amazing organization. We would have preferred to celebrate with you in person, but unfortunately due to COVID-19, we're unable to gather. However, it is such a joy to include those of you from around the country and around the world who would not have otherwise been able to join us. Tonight, you will hear some wonderful cabaret performances by members of the choir, both singers and board members. You will watch interviews with guest artists and former artistic directors, and you'll even learn how to mix special cocktails with the help of friends of the choir. In fact, there were more interviews and cabaret performances than we could fit into a single evening, so you'll be able to view additional content about CCC on our website after this event. You'll also have the opportunity to peruse and bid on silent auction items. Later in the evening, we'll show you the 3 live auction experiences you can bid on, and we'll show you some of the wonderful wines we have in the wine pool. As you watch the event this evening, I encourage you to participate in the bidding. You can go now to chicagochamberchoir.org and click on 2020 Fundraiser in our menu to go straight to the auction page. You can also text Chicago Chamber Choir, all one word, to 56651 to donate directly from your mobile device. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting the Chicago Chamber Choir. It is with your support that our organization will be able to continue singing for another 25 years.
Set out on a narrow way many years ago, hoping I would find true love along the broken road. But I got lost a time or two, wiped my brow, keep pushing through. I couldn't see how every sign pointed straight to you. But every long lost dream led me to where you are. Others who broke my heart, they were like northern stars, pointing me on my way into your loving arms. This much I know is true, that God blessed the broken road that led me straight to you. Think about the years I've spent just passing through. I'd like to have the time I lost and give it back to you, but you just smile and take my hand. You've been there, you understand. It's all part of the grander plan that is coming true. Every long lost dream led me to where you are. Others who broke my heart, they were like northern stars, pointing me on my way into your loving arms. This much I know is true, that God blessed the broken
yourself off yet. It's only in your head you feel left out, look down on. Just try your best, try everything you can. It doesn't worry what they tell themselves when you're away. It just takes some time, little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything'll be just fine. Everything'll be alright. Hey, you know they're all the same. You know you're doing better on your own, so don't buy it. Just live right now. Yeah, just be yourself. It doesn't matter if it's good enough for someone else. It just takes some time, little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything'll be just fine. Everything'll be alright. It just takes some time, little girl, you're in the middle of the ride. Everything'll be just fine. Everything'll be alright.
All right, it's time to take a cocktail break. So this cocktail is going to use items that are in season right now. You might get it at the farmer's market. So we've got strawberries, basil, lemon, but you could totally use lime if that's what you want. Some type of sweetener. So I'm gonna use a simple syrup that I made that's just like a 1-to-1. But you could also instead use a drizzle of honey, just a little bit of sugar. I'm going to use gin today, but if you don't like gin, you could totally use vodka. And then we are going to shake it up and top it off with just some seltzer water. But if you have some flavored water that you wanted to use, you could do that too. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get the strawberries ready. I think I'm just going to use about 5, maybe 6, maybe 7 strawberries. Just going to cut off the tops. I'm going to be muddling them, so you don't need to be precious about it. And then I'm just going to stick these in a cocktail shaker. Step 2, grow a basil plant. Then get basil. None of you are quite ready, but that's okay, we're gonna cut you anyway. All right, so we got some basil. Oh, keep your clothes on. And then I'm just gonna take a bunch of these basil leaves. I'm just gonna shove them in my drink as well. I don't have a muddler, but I do have this thing called a spurtle that's from Newfoundland, and it's actually used to make porridge, but today I'm going to use it to muddle up my strawberries and my basil. I'm going to measure out about an ounce of simple syrup. Again, you can just use a drizzle of honey. You can muddle some sugar up with these strawberries. Gonna add the juice of about half a lemon. Now I'm gonna add 2 ounces of gin. It may defeat me. There we go. Okay. 2 ounces of gin. Almost. That was a lot. Okay. No more gin. Alright, and then I'm just gonna add a bunch of ice so that I can shake it up. Okay, my dress keeps falling off. Gonna pop that out. Get a super fancy glass. And then strain your drink into your super fancy glass. Then I'm gonna top it off with a little bit of just club soda. Make it fizzy. And maybe a little piece of basil friend to go on the top. And there you have it. A strawberry something.
Welcome. My name is Amy Kuipert, and I am the Associate Conductor of the Chicago Chamber Choir, and I am so pleased to welcome all of you who are viewing this from your homes to our Artistic Director CCC chat. I am so pleased to be here today with 3 of our most influential figures from CCC's past and present. Toria, Tim, Chris, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I thought we'd start by just letting you give a brief introduction of who you are and your role, current or former, within the group. So Toria, if you don't mind starting us off.
Sure. Hi, I'm Toria Burrell-Rencessin, and I'm the founder and former director of the Chicago Chamber Choir. Also a former composer in residence, board member, associate conductor, and singer.
Great, every role. Tim, then to you, thank you.
Sure. So I'm Tim Adams. I'm currently associate professor of music at Rockford University. And I overlap that with my tenure with Chicago Chamber Choir for many years. I was a singer under Toria for a year, actually I think for just a semester, before she stepped down and offered the conductorship of the choir to me. And this was in, that was 1999, the last semester of 1999, and I took over the choir in 2000, and was the artistic director for about 15 years. And I think in 2014 was the year that I shared with you, Amy.
That's right.
And finished at the end of that 2014-2015 season.
Great, thank you. And Chris?
I'm Chris Windle. I'm the current artistic director. This is the end of my 3rd season with the ensemble. I also work at the Church of the Atonement in Chicago, and I work at DePaul University as an adjunct faculty member, and with Constellation Men's Ensemble as a consultant in artistically. Yeah, you've seen me. You've seen the back of my head at concerts. I don't turn around and talk very much.
Toria, I'm going to bounce back to you. I'm curious to know what your experience was in kind of taking the reins in the early phases of CCC. What was it like to get the group off and running in your time with the group?
Yes, well, it was, to be honest, a little nerve-wracking at first. We had this amazing group of singers who had formed a community, a family. But after 2 years, it now needed new leadership, so to keep the group going. And as a founding member, I felt passionately about what we had. And so I stepped up to take the reins. It was important to me to provide a solid foundation so that it had a chance to last. But taking the reins was kind of like putting a saddle and bridle on a wild horse and riding it for the first time in order to steer it forward. It was a little scary, but because I had many years of experience as a singer and a chorister, but not as much experience at the time as a conductor. But I knew enough, so I dove into the role, and I did a lot of hard work and research, and pretty much learned how to conduct and lead a choir on the fly. But as well as focusing on making music, I made a point of setting up a board of directors, establishing the not-for-profit status, and creating a vision for our organization so that we would have a future. And at the time, it sometimes felt a little overwhelming, but it was my passion, and I believed in it, and the rewards of making choral music with this family, this community, and setting it up for the future made it all worth it.
That's so lovely. And then you passed it on to Tim. And Tim, what was your experience? What was your vision for how to take CCC to the next direction? Where were you hoping to lead it, and how did that work for you as you came into the lead?
Sure. Well, Toria was a great mentor, and she was brand new to choral conducting, and I was too. I had never conducted a choir when I stepped into CCC. So we both had a similar experience in like learning while getting our feet wet. I mean, of course, I had done choirs and had done them, lots of music directing and professional singing and that sort of thing, but conducting a choir was new to me. So there was this passionate group of singers when I stepped into it, and good singers, really good singers as well. Toria, coming from across the pond, so to speak, her repertoire was perhaps a little bit more European based. And it was important for me, if I was going to do this, that at the time, that this was a choir that, I knew I wasn't going to compete with, His Majesty's Clarks or the professional choirs that were in the city at the time, and that I wanted to really make it something that was me, that had a real audience feel good element to it. And so we did lots of American music, certainly some European stuff as well, but lots of spirituals, lots of good arrangements of folk songs. So it wasn't super highbrow at the beginning of that, because that was my comfort level. And then always kind of a theatrical element to the group as well. I said a lot in those early days that, somebody comes to a choir concert, not only to hear good music, but to see a performance. If you just want to listen to good choir music, you can stay home and listen to it on your devices. I don't think I said devices back then, because we didn't know what those were, but, on a CD. So the visual element was really important to me as well. And then just to have fun doing it. I mean, like I said, I was working in the corporate world, and I needed something that inspired me.
That propels us beautifully then into passing the baton to Chris. As the current director, what is your vision for the group, and where are you trying to lead the Chicago Chamber Choir in your work with us currently?
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting to hear Tim and Toria talk, because I didn't work with either of them before coming in. So the information that I had coming in was, I think, Amy, you and I had a beer, and my audition and my interview. And as I think I've already said, the thing that really just drew me into the organization were the people. And so that was the thing beyond anything else that I felt really strongly that we needed to just make sure we fostered and stewarded and made sure was continually part of the group. But when I stepped in, I also recognized just how stinking good the choir is. And like, it's really good. And one of the things that I immediately thought was we can perform music at the same level as the professional choirs in town. We can. And so we should. So my passions as a musician, and I came in when I was finishing my doctorate at Northwestern as a scholar, I guess, in choral music, are connecting the past and the present. So, and this is actually so interesting as I was listening to Tim and Tori talk too, that my programs, what I try and do with the organization is bring that European and that American side together, and to have the old talk to the new. And that's really my vision going forward. And being a choir in an organization that is committed to the city of Chicago, not only the community of singers, which is so important, but also to the community of Chicago. We've now for 2 years done concerts specifically dedicated to social justice music. That's going to continue to be a huge part of our mission going forward in supporting our city that we love.
What kinds of things should our audiences know, should our friends know, should our community know about supporting CCC as we continue to move forward? The world is in a lot of chaos right now in a lot of various ways. And so what do you think it's important for our community to know about supporting CCC into our future?
Music can heal and soothe and uplift and unify. Music is a language based on order and harmony that we can all hear, feel, and understand at once. It can transcend all barriers of race, color, creed, age, and background. And singing, especially as a musical art form. Unlike instrumental music, singing marries music and words together to create powerful messages of inspiration and hope. And what makes the experience of going to a live choral concert different, as Tim was saying earlier, from either just listening to recorded music at home? Well, it's, the choir is a live human orchestra, as well as the visual element, which is very important too. The fact that the choir is this live human force, this orchestra, this musical force, the combined energy and the humanity and the spirit of the group of singers all singing together as one is far more powerful a medium to transmit positive energy to an audience than recorded music.
Really beautifully said, Toria, and I couldn't agree more with that. That was beautiful. I think that people give to causes that they, not only that they're passionate about, but where they see passion. And I think choirs probably provide that more than most artistic groups. And I think that singers that have sat in the audience to watch the singers of CCC perform, and knowing the sort of work that goes into that, the sacrifices that they're making, personal sacrifices, professional sacrifices, to get to a level of artistic beauty is enormous. It's really huge. So I think that, and like Chris said earlier, and like Toria just so eloquently said, music has that power to heal. I think Chicago Chamber Choir is needed right now in the city, artistically, from a perspective of healing. So I think that's a really important reason to give. And, when you're not paying singers, the overhead of Chicago Chamber Choir is a few staff, but their venues, the music, the recording stuff. It's not, a choir is a pretty low overhead sort of operation. And I know from leading it for so long how important those personal donations I don't know if this is still true, but I know that ticket sales are just a minor portion, often half of what the group brings in revenue-wise, and so it is people giving out of the love of their heart that really continues to inspire a group like this. So,
absolutely, thank you, Tim and Chris.
Yeah, I mean, far be it for me to restate what my colleagues have so beautifully said already. Tim's right. We less than half of our budget comes from ticket sales. So the generosity of our patrons and our donors is integral to our survival. And as Toria said, the benefits of singing and attending live concerts are just so myriad that we'd all be silly not to go to more of them. And that we are an organization that when you support us, you're also supporting Chicago. And we are committed to supporting Chicago. We are committed to collaborating with organizations. You'll see other interviews in the course of this fundraising event. You'll have the opportunity to watch more of those interviews online after. And what you'll see over and over and over again is that we are committed to the cause of collaboration. And our singers do it for the love of it, but we are committed to supporting the artistic community and the artistic economy in the city of Chicago. We are committed to, in our music, dealing with these concepts that are hard, finding catharsis. I think that word was said is a great word for this, finding catharsis in these difficult times with these difficult topics through our art, but then also doing, just not just singing, but then doing. And that's what the Chicago Chamber Choir has always been about.
Thank you so much. And it's so beautiful to hear what all three of you have had to say about this.
About the past, I mean, what pops into my mind more than anything are the individual singers, and to watch their faces in concerts, to see them struggle with music and then to be successful with certain songs, to watch soloists, to see them come together at rehearsal and socialize. But we started with this notion that it is the people that drive this organization, and the art is what ties us together, but it's the people that are the core of that. And I have made so many friends and relationships over the years that are still really important in my life. But when I have rough times, I think back to a lot of those singers, and I think back to a lot of those watching their faces emote and sing with that vulnerable piece of themselves, their voice. And I think that's what makes choir singing as important as it is. So I just want a shout out to those singers that make this such a real thing.
Yeah, I thank you for jumping in and saying that, Tim. It's the thing that we keep coming around to is community over and over and over and over and over again. And walking in on Thursday nights to everybody is always the highlight of my week. And it's such a shame that we can't do it now, as you said, when it is so needed. And I'm really just looking forward to being back in that room with people.
Absolutely. Well, the three of you have truly inspired me, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to sit down with me today and have this conversation, just because Chicago Chamber Choir is so important to so many of us, and it's really exciting to see the group continuing to move forward and really continue to live into its place in the role of the Chicago community. So thank you, Toria. Thank you, Tim. And thank you, Chris, for your heartfelt remarks today. Really appreciated having a conversation with you. And to all of you that are at home watching, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you've learned a lot about the Chicago Chamber Choir today. And we look forward to seeing you again when we can see you in person. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Today's a day like any other, but I am changed, I am a mother, oh, in an instant. And who I was has disappeared.
can feel the heart of how everything changes. I didn't know, but now I see. Sometimes what is meant to be. You save me. My blurry lines, my messy life come into focus, and in time, maybe I can heal and I can breathe, 'cause I can feel myself believe. And my heart's at the wheel now, and all my mistakes, they make sense when I turn them around. Everything changes. What I thought was so permanent fades. In the blink of an eye, there's a new life in front of my face. And I know in due time, every right thing will find its right place. So I swear I'll remember to say we were both born today. 'Cause everything's changed. Everything changes.
So for those that don't know, this is Carl Alexander, countertenor extraordinaire. He sang with Chicago Chamber Choir for our Christmas concert in 2019, singing a spiritual medley, and we just had the best time working with you. So I just wanted to start with you telling us a little bit about yourself and who you are, and the music that you perform, and sort of how you got there.
Sure. First off, I want to say thank you for allowing me to perform with Chicago Chamber Choir. It was a blast. A lot of fun to delve into that kind of music. It's kind of where my heart is, so it was really fun. Again, just to introduce myself, I'm Carl Alexander. I'm a countertenor. For those of you who don't know what that means, I am a male with a high voice in kind of layman's terms. If you want to get more deep into it, if you know anything about Fox, I'm somewhere in between a tenor and a mezzo/soprano. I have the upper register of a soprano, so if it was a blind ear test, you're just listening, you'd probably think I was a woman. And then surprise, surprise, take it away and I'm a man, which is fine. The beauties of that, of being who I am and all of who I am and this Black body doing that, is that I get to change people's expectations every time they get to hear me. Most times I vividly remember when I first started singing, everyone seeing me, especially because I was like 2 times bigger than I am now. I come on stage and be like, oh, he's a bass. Oh, he's a baritone. And I'm like, all right. First high F, first high A. And they're like, oh, that's not what we wanted. But at the end of the performance, they are challenged musically, they're challenged orally, they're challenged with what they see. And hopefully because of the kind of music that I tend to do, which is music that has a challenging message, whether it be from the Baroque era or something very new by a Black composer, that may challenge some of their social ideas or how they think about life and how they interact with humans. I hope they come at the end falling in love with what they heard, or feeling challenged and want to act based on what they were challenged with. A lot of the music that I work on, the focus, the message, and the audience are for queer people of color throughout time. And so what that means is that like the text and the musical ideas and gestures do spark from the Harlem Renaissance and go further back into the past and kind of talk about colonialism. And what that has resulted in is me being strongly involved with creating new music with composers, working intimately with them to create new messages that challenge our audiences in new ways that they haven't been challenged before. That's shown itself up in like projects like the Unveiled Voices project, which is a project with Henry Flez in the southern part of Chicago. And then my Unvoiced project, which I was doing at one point, which brought a whole bunch of different voices all over the world in to talk about like some serious issues in the Black community. So I really do kind of pour all the parts of my identity politic into what I do. It's kind of what I'm attracted to musically, and more I'm finding new ways to express that. So yeah, it's a beautiful process. It's a challenge because it takes a lot to delve into myself and figure out how I want to share that with the audience, because parts of that can be incredibly personal. And I think that's the part that my audiences really appreciate. You know, there's no filter. It's just me being very truthful about how I feel in the moment about what I'm saying.
You were just talking about sort of your identity politic and how you've come into art. So one of the things CCC does, or I try to do with CCC, is bring the voices of living composers, of contemporary composers, not just contemporary composers who lived and then died in the 20th century, but people that are still alive and writing and making statements. What do you see as the benefit, I guess, of having contemporary choral music be part of sort of the artistic landscape of Chicago, and having a group like CCC engage in and engage with living composers and making those voices heard?
The beauty of working with living composers is because, well, not because, but there's several points. One, that it automatically kind of becomes a dialogue, because, yeah, I mean, I felt this way. I don't know if you felt this way as an artist or a person who's researching music, and then having to engage with it. If I'm doing Bach, the conversation is kind of shut down a little bit, you know? Bach can't come back and tell me like, hey, this is what I was thinking. And we can't have the exchange of ideas to make the piece fluid, appropriate to the artist, and a true dialogue between the audience and the performer, and also what's going on in the world then and there. The beauty of that exchange in real time is that the piece doesn't have to stay the same. The piece can change, the piece can be fluid, and mean so much more to the person performing it, and so much more to the people who it's being performed to. Those exchanges of ideas and that collaboration, just by being in the space, being in the same time, breathing the same air, you can't get that anywhere else. And especially in Chicago, where we're in a place that, I mean, despite time and decades of growth, there's still so much separation and so much segregation and so much that divides us all. Being in a choral space, a space where you get to hear music that may push your boundaries in so many different ways, could benefit all of us.
I'm really struck by that idea of a dialogue, because I've been thinking, you know, as I was writing questions for our discussion, about the collaboration we did, which very much felt like a dialogue. And so when you approach music like that, or spirituals in particular, how does that idea of dialogue enter into what you do?
Oh, for sure. I mean, so I was blessed with going to having the opportunity to go to Morris College. I was able to learn under some of the foremost scholars on spirituals and African American music, like U.Z. Brown and Dr. David Morrow and Dr. Mel Foster, and like the list goes on. So I'm very thankful for that experience. The one thing that they always re-instilled in me, because sometimes I would lose it going down the path of other music, is that, you know, the past has something to tell me. And as a result, that past has, as it's being told to me, as it's working through me, I have something to tell the audience. Which means there's a lot of power in performing, period. Recommunicating that message through yourself as the vessel, and refiltering it for what you bring. But even more so for spirituals in general, there is this constant dialogue within the music, whether it's call and response, or whether it's, you know, it's a sorrow song, or there is this greater dialogue that happens between the individual and God, or individual to individual. And even more so, the dialogue is to share the experience that many of us do not have or cannot recall back to, which I'm like trying to process it myself, is like, it's so beyond anything I could ever stand or live with. You know, like I cannot imagine myself being in the place of a slave. But through history, through reading, through my family's experiential knowledge, because I'm not that far from that. I mean, literally 2 or 3 generations ago, my great-great-grandmother was still a slave. And so being willing and open to have that dialogue with my grandmother to say, what was that like for her? What was that like for you growing up? Was huge. And as we continue to share that experience, especially because very often, as I'm learning and reading more, like people of color sharing their experiences with people who are not people of color very often feel like they may not be able to speak to that experience. They may not be able to have anything to add to the dialogue. They just feel like they should listen, receive, and say, I'm sorry. But there is a level of action beyond believing, knowing, and hearing and seeing that shows a level of understanding and a willingness to keep moving forward. And I think that has been the part that I cherish the most about our collaboration with CCC, is that everyone in the group, when I shared my experience and my history when working on spiritual, as well as my experience in history, just being a Black man in the space, everyone was very receptive and willing to listen. And then also for them, their point of action was putting what they heard, what they took and understand from my experience, and let it flow through them as a singer. I think that most of all is the most powerful, and the glimpse of light, that glimmer, shimmering light of hope for what choral music can bring to the spiritual experience, which very much is a music of activism, a music of rebellion, but also a music of day-to-day life, and a music of just holding on. When we present spirituals as artists, like, what is our job? I think I had a conversation with another artist about this recently. Like, when you're presenting music that is your own, that comes from your experience, or you're presenting music that people are uncomfortable with or don't have as much experience with, you know, how much of that is teaching and historical knowledge, and how much of that is them participating and engaging with it so that they can have questions and continue to further learn through experience. It's that historical knowledge versus experiential knowledge. And that part is, I mean, it's a conundrum. You got to figure that out.
You know, I will say from my standpoint, you speak so eloquently to the caution with which I approach spirituals and gospel music as a conductor. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a choir that did them all the time in Baltimore, and as I've grown into my career, I've done exactly what you said, which is sort of like tried to engage in these conversations more fully. But the thing that I really took away from our experience together at Christmas was the feeling that I can engage with this music more, and that I want to engage with this music more. What was your favorite part of working with CCC?
I think it's all great. I don't think I have a favorite, but I try to believe that every experience has some significant meaning and also some significant impact on me. I think this experience with CCC, especially just because of like where I was as an artist, it just reaffirmed that I have something to offer, and that my experience has something to offer, and it should be counted as valuable. And I don't have to give that up to be successful. But even more so, collaborating with a choir reminds me that like it takes all of us.
I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us today, and really appreciate all of your contributions over the years to CCC as a graphic artist, as a photographer, as a soloist, and as just like a general supporter and wonderful human being. And I'm really grateful for the relationship that I and we as an organization have with you, and I'm just looking forward to more of that.
Same here. I love y'all.
Thanks, Carl.
Thank you.
Glitter and be gay, used to bend my soul to a sordid role, victimized by bitter circumstance. Alas for me, had I remained beside my lady mother, my virtue had remained unstained until my maiden hand was gained by some grand duke or other. Oh, 'twas not to be. Harsh necessity brought me to this gilded cage, born to higher things. Here I droop my wings, singing of a sorrow nothing can assuage. And yet, of course, I rather like to revel. I have no strong objection to champagne. My wardrobe is expensive as the devil. Perhaps it isn't noble to complain. Enough of being basely tearful. I show my noble stuff by being bright and pearls and ruby rings. How can worldly things take the place of honor lost? Can they compensate for my fallen state, purchased as they were at such an awful cost? Bracelets, love leaves, can they dry my tears? Can they blind my eyes to shame? Can the brightest brooch shield me from reproach? Can the purest diamond purify my name? And yet, of course, these trinkets are endearing. I'm also glad my sapphire's a star. I rather like a 20-carat earring. If I'm not pure, at least my jewels are. Enough. I'll take their diamond necklace and show my noble stuff by being gay and reckless.
Hello everybody, my name is Jeremy McElroy. I am the newest member of the Board of Directors for Chicago Chamber Choir. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. It's so much fun to have this time together online, and so we certainly thank you for your participation and hope that you're enjoying the evening so far. We have 3 different champagne cocktails for you tonight. I hope that you can join in making them with us. So let's get started. Our first drink is the Blushing Mimosa, something familiar to you with just a little bit of a twist. We begin with 2 cups of a blend of orange and pineapple juice, to which I've added the juice of 1 lemon freshly squeezed. We add that to the champagne flute, and the next step is something a bit unusual. It is 1 cup of water with 1 teaspoon of kosher salt dissolved. We'll put in about 3 to 4 drops only. This just relaxes the sweetness of the drink a little bit. Next comes your champagne or your Prosecco or whatever kind of sparkling wine you have available for this. We'll be adding equal parts of the champagne to the juice mixture. And then finally, the blushing component is a little bit of grenadine. Very carefully pour in just a little bit. You'll see it pool at the bottom and give us a lovely sunset type looking cocktail. The Blushing Mimosa. Our next drink is called the Black Velvet. It takes several years to perfect this, but please feel free to try it right now. You begin with some kind of nitrogenated beer. Of course, Guinness is at the top of our list. I like it from a can because the bubbles are a little bit finer. And in equal proportions, you add the beer to the stein, and then you follow it with some champagne or Prosecco, pouring slowly so that it doesn't bubble up faster than you want. And there you have it, a Black Velvet. Our final cocktail tonight is the Champagne VSOP, or Very Special Old Pale Cocktail, a combination of champagne and brandy. I like this size of a saucer glass because it allows you to enjoy the aroma of the cocktail better than in a flute. We begin with 2 cubes of sugar and then several dashes of bitters. I tend to like mine a little on the bitter side, so I go pretty heavy with the bitters. We'll follow the bitters with a little bit of VSOP brandy. Of course, any kind of brandy or cognac that you have would work very nicely with this. Our proportions are close to 1/3 brandy and 2/3 of your champagne or Prosecco. Again, just like in the previous drink, don't pour it too fast, otherwise it'll spill all over your fingers. I've learned this lesson firsthand. A nice touch, of course, is to have a little bit of orange at the very end. So I like to peel off the orange with the vegetable peeler. If you do it near the drink, you might get the added benefit of just a little bit of the orange oils onto the surface of the beverage. And then I like to wipe around the rim of the glass with the orange peel and then drop it right in. And there you have it, a champagne VSOP cocktail. Hope you enjoy.
So for everyone who doesn't know me yet, I'm Laura Perquette. I am the founder and artistic director of Chai Collaborative, and we are a Chicago-based collective dedicated to performing works for mixed vocal and instrumental chamber music. And one of our big things is programming music that connects the past and the present. And we also care a lot about crafting programs that represent a diverse array of compositional voices. And so we've been around for 5 years almost. We were incepted in the fall of 2015, and we've had 5 seasons so far, and we're starting to plan the 6th. Planning's a little awkward right now with the pandemic. We're trying to figure out how everything's gonna look, but that is us in a nutshell.
Yeah, I'm Talar Kostigian, and I'm the Music and Operations Manager of Chai Collaborative Ensemble. I don't know if I have anything to add to that beautiful introduction about the group, but I can say that, you know, I've been here since the beginning. Laura kind of cold emailed me. I remember receiving the email. I was sitting in the office at the CSO where I was interning at the time, and I received this email from Laura Perquette, and I didn't know who she was or what she was doing, but she invited me to be part of this concert series, and I said, yes. And then I absolutely loved it. And, you know, we're a great team, and I stuck around, and I'm so happy that I did.
As you know, those of you that know the choir, Talar is our principal accompanist and has worked with us now for 4 years. 4 years. I remember talking to you about the group and talking to you about collaborative projects that I wanted to do, and I was just so intrigued by the collaborative ethos of the group, that is something that I feel like is really unique and is a necessary and often missing part of artistic fabric in a community. So really glad to have found this relationship and to do things together and do hopefully lots more in the future. You know, I was curious, Laura, if you could talk about sort of your musical sort of training. What instrument? What's your instrument? Talar is our pianist, and Talar and I just did an interview a little while ago. And if we could I would love to hear from you about sort of your musical background.
Sure. So my background, it's kind of a mixed bag. I'm both an oboist and a singer. I'm a soprano, that's my voice part. And I started getting into music back when I was in elementary school. I first started out with piano lessons, and I also sang in choirs. For my undergrad, I did both oboe and voice at the University of Minnesota. And then for my master's, I pursued oboe performance at the University of Michigan. I still took voice lessons while I was there. And I moved to Chicago August of 2010. One thing I noticed 5 years ago is that there was a lot of really great vocal chamber rep that involved singers and instrumentalists that just wasn't being done, either because folks didn't know about it or folks didn't know other folks from the other side to put it together. So I had a lot of these pieces that I thought that would be really cool if this was heard more often in our city. And I know this person is a fantastic singer, and this person is a fantastic instrumentalist, and there's this piece. Let's see how I think they would work together as well. Let's see how this hangs.
That's great. And you know, as somebody that started as a flutist and a vocalist both, the idea that there's, you know, silos, right, of the instrumental and the vocal world, and that you bringing those together into an organization, into a nonprofit, is just really fantastic.
And I guess one thing that we can add to this is that our ensemble is a flexible ensemble. Mm-hmm. And so what we have is a roster. And on that roster are musicians of all stripes. You know, what we do for each season is we pair those musicians together, or we put them into trios, or we put them into quartets. And the way that we've been doing our concerts in the last, 2 seasons now, that has been really successful, is that we pick this kind of core ensemble, right? It's like, all right, we've got 4 people on our roster for this concert this time around. And we're going to sort of cycle them around and put them in different combinations. And then we have maybe one piece that features all four of those people, regardless of what the instrumentation is. And our audiences have responded so positively to this because they absolutely love hearing the programming that pairs that past to the present, something that's, you know, a bastion of the canon versus something that is just absolutely stunning and no one has ever heard.
One of the things that really has always excited me about your organization since I learned about it, and that is exactly what you were speaking to, Talar, which is this melding of the old and the new, which I think is so important as we enter into the 21st century. Well, are experiencing the 21st century. And we see all sorts of new music being written, and how does that interact with old music? And so our first concert together was just that, was pairing old and new. For those that don't know, we did a concert with Caroline Shaw's To the Hands and Buxtehude in Membre Jesu Nostri.
Beautiful program, and I really hope we can do something like that before too long here. And that program actually, we put on 2 concerts of that program, and they were both to benefit the Night Ministry, which is a local organization, and that's another part of Chai's mission. One of our big pillars is that we want to engage with communities, and we want to use our art in a way that gives back.
Yeah, and a couple of years before that, or the prior year, I don't remember exactly when we did it. It might have even been earlier that season. We collaborated with the Chicago Coalition for the Homeless and Latitude 49, and we did a benefit concert for them as well. And so that has developed as part of our identity as a chamber group.
How did you feel? What was your experience working with CCC?
The impression that I got when our ensembles worked together was that we're both very like-minded. We care about collaboration and integrity on and off the stage. And it was really great to have our audiences cross-pollinate.
Yeah, and to be serving the cause that that concert specifically served. And well, part of and I mean, I can, say that I work with CCC all the time, right? But specifically as an ambassador, I suppose, of an outside organization, just the communication and the willingness and really the enthusiasm and excitement that came with working with musicians that aren't in the choir, right? That it is like, we're not islands as artists, right? We have to collaborate. And if we want to stay afloat and alive and thriving, it's in the spirit of collaborating that you actually lift each other up. Stunning concert. I mean, I will just always remember that like moment of silence after the Shaw was over, because we closed with, and it was just this silence from the audience for a solid 3 or 4 seconds before they kind of processed that this had just happened.
Talar and Laura, I really want to thank you both for joining me and talking about your organization today.
Thank you for having us on, Chris.
Yes, thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Good evening, and I'm thrilled you're here with us tonight. My name is Robert McConnell, and I'm a member of the CCC board. We've got 3 exciting live auction items for you to bid on this evening. First up, 2 nights of romance near Lake Michigan. And let's be honest, who doesn't like romance near Lake Michigan? This is item number 603. Candlelight Inn B&B is a turn-of-the-century, all-American Ludington, Michigan four-square inn. Located on beautiful historical Ludington Avenue, the inn is near Lake Michigan's best sandy beaches, parks, lighthouses, the SS Badger car ferry, shops, dining, brew pubs, and pier. The Ludington State Park beckons with miles of trails, dunes, beaches on Hamlin Lake, Lake Michigan, and the Big Sable River with dam and lighthouse. Come to Candlelight Inn Bed and Breakfast for this 2-night getaway to enjoy all the amenities and delicious treats the inn has to offer. Relax, unwind, play, and explore the magnificent Ludington, Michigan coastline. This romance package includes 2 nights in romantic retreat suite with jacuzzi, classic candlelight breakfast served family style each morning, 1 charcuterie board served at requested time, a dozen chocolate-covered strawberries, bouquet of flowers with roses upon arrival, and premium chocolates. The Romance Retreat Suite offers an in-room bath with jacuzzi for 2, separate shower, love seat, air conditioning, flat-screen television, DVD player with complimentary movies, hair dryer, Wi-Fi, ice buckets, mini fridge, embroidered spa robes, fluffy towels, and queen bed covered with thick mattress topper, high thread count linens, and plenty of pillows. This romantic package is valued at $740. Bidding starts at $600 or buy now for $1,110. That's item number 603, 2 nights of romance near Lake Michigan. Bid now. Next up, a cocktail party for 6 with CCC Artistic Director Christopher Windle. I've had drinks with Chris before, and trust me, you're going to want to get in on this one. This is item number 601. You and 5 guests enjoy an evening with Chicago Chamber Choir's Artistic Director Christopher Windle. Mix and mingle during this elegant evening that includes delicious cocktails, light hors d'oeuvres, and conversation. Talk about music. Talk about sports. Talk about knitting. It's your party and your conversation. Spending time with our artistic director is priceless, of course, but this exclusive cocktail party is valued at $500. Bidding begins at $200 or buy now for $750. That's only $125 per person if you go in with your 5 best buddies. That's item 601, cocktail party for 6 with CCC Artistic Director Christopher Windle. Bid now. And our final item, a craft beer and pizza night with Artistic Director Christopher Windle. This is item 602. Oh, this is one I know our Chicago beer lovers will want. You and a friend enjoy craft beer from Artistic Director Christopher Windle's personal beer cave. Even I haven't been inside his personal beer cave, so this is something that you're going to want to get in on. While dining on mouth-watering homemade pizza from the lovely Kate Schmidl. Believe you me, her culinary skills equal her cocktail-making skills, and her pizza has a special touch. The pizza alone should be an auction item. The package is valued at $250. Bidding begins at $100 or buy now for $375. That's item 602, a craft beer and pizza night with Artistic Director Christopher Windle. Bid now. And those are our live auction items for this evening. Remember, the auction closes at 10 p.m. Central tonight, so bid now, bid often. Every dollar goes to support the Chicago Chamber Choir and the beautiful voices making music all across Chicagoland. Thank you.
Hello again. I hope you're enjoying the evening so far. I wanted to take a moment to celebrate where we've been this season and talk about where we're going next season. The 2019-2020 season was my 3rd year as artistic director, and nothing like what I think anybody else had expected. Titled Conversations with the Mountains, this season took inspiration from themes of nature, wonder, and curiosity. We performed 3 of our 4 planned concerts before the stay-at-home order went into effect in Chicago. This season marked the first we collaborated with graphic designer Zachary Bird and our season artist Gingerly Press with owner, designer, and printer Lindsay Schmidl, who you can read about on our website. We also welcomed our new general manager, Rania Holmes. The concerts we sang were exciting and beautifully performed. Our fall concert, Where Flames a Word, featured works by Johannes Brahms, Kyle Smith, and Eric Whitaker. Many of the selections from this concert can be found on our newly released album, Live Art 2017 to 2020, available for download now at chicagochamberchoir.org. Our Christmas concert featured our principal accompanist, Talar Costigian, and countertenor Carl Alexander. And our winter program, The Little Match Girl Passion, featured Alex Monroe and percussion ensemble Beyond This Point. We raised money in support of Care for Real, an organization that provides food, clothing, and counseling services in the Edgewater neighborhood of Chicago. This was a truly remarkable and memorable concert. We also continued to go caroling around Chicago at Christmas time and sang for the Martin Luther King Jr. Day celebration at the Chicago History Museum for the 15th year in a row. Though we did not finish the season as we had hoped with our planned spring concert and in-person fundraiser, I am so excited about where CCC is going. As you might imagine, with all the uncertainty, we are still in the planning stages of next season. In July, I will host a special Zoom conversation for our donors and supporters to announce our plans in detail. If you have donated to CCC or donate this evening, you will receive an invitation to this event. What I can tell you all now is that we will continue to sing and continue to perform and continue to support the city we call home. In our 25th year, watch for news about exciting collaborations throughout the season. Watch for news about a reunion concert with CCC alumni and help spread the word. In fact, in the bonus content for this event, you can watch interviews with collaborative artists for next season, including cellist Paul Dwyer of the Lyric Opera Orchestra and organist Charlie Sega. And with the reality of COVID-19, watch for robust online programming, including educational opportunities and virtual performances. We will celebrate the history, impact, and artistry of CCC over the last 25 years, and we will continue to invest in our mission to create experiences that engage our community in high-quality choral art.
Hello, friends, and thank you all so much for joining us this evening. I'm Philip Dothard, and I am the board president of Chicago Chamber Choir. I want to extend my deepest gratitude for your support this evening. I want to ask, if you've been holding back, now is your moment to really make a statement about how much Chicago Chamber Choir means to you. Over the next few minutes, I will share 4 donation levels. These levels correspond to one specific need that you can fund by donating at that level. You can donate through the online auction by selecting auction item number 2, raise your paddle to help fund a need, or by texting Chicago Chamber Choir, that's all one word, to 56651. At the $2,000 level, you can sponsor a guest artist. One of the guiding objectives of CCC's artistic vision is collaboration with guest artists across Chicago, like those joining us in conversation tonight. We believe that artists should be recognized for their work and compensated appropriately. I personally, as a former opera singer, completely support this objective. So I am asking you to make a $2,000 donation to help underwrite the average cost of a guest artist for one concert. Collaborating with these artists in our beautiful city is imperative not only to our mission, but to supporting contemporary music in Chicago. Your $2,000 donation provides for an entire weekend of gorgeous collaborative music. Help us keep contemporary music and the musicians creating it alive and well. Go on, raise your paddle for CCC at the $2,000 level. Speaking of music, all those lovely notes have costs. As a modern chamber choir, we not only perform the classics, but we intentionally seek out the works of living composers. We pay a good amount in royalties to provide each of our singers with the sheet music so we can hear those new and innovative works. For just $1,000, you can sponsor the sheet music for an entire concert. That's music for the sopranos, the altos, the tenors, and even the basses. The entire choir, one concert, all the music. Just $1,000 to keep those gorgeous voices sharing the classics of yesterday and the powerful works of today. Let's see those paddles at the $1,000 level. At the $500 level, you can sponsor a singer. Is there a voice that's near and dear to you? Well, CCC is introducing a brand new way to provide direct support to our singers. The singers in our all-volunteer choir give many hours in support of CCC each year, whether that's rehearsals, performances, community engagements, or operational support. It really does take a village to make this work. For $500, you can join our new Cadenza Circle and directly underwrite a singer's participation in the Chicago Chamber Choir. Your gift funds the supplies, audio recordings, meals, and much more for one exceptionally talented and committed singer. Your $500 donation removes cost as a barrier to participation, giving more singers throughout Chicagoland the opportunity to join the Chicago Chamber Choir. Show your support of a singer at the $500 level. At the $250 level, you can support music education. We all know that listening alone won't keep music alive. Sharing music is just one step in nurturing tomorrow's generation of music lovers. Here at CCC, we're preparing to launch a new digital series devoted to helping patrons and fans learn more about contemporary choral music. Your donation will help produce video and audio-rich concert guides, digital tours of composers' works and histories, artist presentations and panels, and so much more. Together, we can deepen the appreciation for choral music while nurturing tomorrow's champions of the art. Won't you join us in launching this initiative for just $250? Raise your paddle in support of music education at CCC. And finally tonight, I have one surprise for you. Yes, it is another way to donate to CCC, and this time I'm making a personal request. The Silver Stave is Chicago Chamber Choir's first ever virtual fundraiser. I know we make it look easy, but trust me, it was a lot of work. We are thrilled that digital space and the internet allows us to reach patrons and new fans all around the world tonight, and that we were able to welcome everyone for free. If you're feeling generous, and I know you are, please consider donating the cost of your ticket to this free event. The value of your ticket is $100, and every penny of your donation will keep us singing into the next 25 years. Again, to make those donations, you can select auction item number 2, Raise Your Paddle to help fund a need, or text Chicago Chamber Choir, again that's all one word, to 56651. On behalf of the Chicago Chamber Choir Board of Directors, I thank you and hope you have a wonderful evening.
Ten decisions shape your life. You'll be aware of 5 about 7 ways to go through school. Either you're noticed or left out. 7 ways to get ahead. 7 reasons to drop out. When I said, I can see me in your eyes, and you said, I can see you in my bed. That's not just friendship, that's romance too. You like music, we can dance to. Sit me down, shut me up, I'll calm down, and I'll get along with you. There is a time when we all fail. Some people take it pretty well. Some take it all out on themselves. Or some just take it out on friends. Oh, everybody plays the game. And if you don't, you're called insane. Don't, it's not safe no more. I've got to see you one more time. Since you were born in 1984. Sit me down, shut me up, I'll calm down, and I'll get along with you. everybody was a mess. 6 things without fail you must do, so that your woman loves just you. Oh, all the girls played mental games, and all the guys were dressed the same. Why not try it all if you only remember it once? Sit me down, shut me up, I'll calm down, and I'll get along with you.
Hello everybody, it's me again. I'm here to help you make your next cocktail. So for those that don't enjoy mixing cocktails, I have a really simple recipe for you this evening. First, begin with 1 glass for red wine and 1 bottle for red wine. Now, for those that may not have come prepared, you may need a corkscrew, like this one here. However, if, like me, you planned ahead, you can simply untwist the top, just like that, and then pour directly into the glass, just like this. Now, for those that may want something a little bit different, you could also try a different glass and a different bottle of wine. Same thing here. Just unscrew the top and pour directly into the glass. I hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Cheers.
I'm an old woman named after my mother. My old man is another child that's grown old. If dreams were lightning and thunder was desire, this old house would have burnt down a long time ago. Make me an angel, flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to. To believe in this living is just a hard way to go. When I was a young girl, well, I had me a cowboy. He wasn't much to look at, just a free rambling man. That was a long time, and no matter how I tried, The years just flow by like a broken down dam. Make me an angel, flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way to go. There's flies in the kitchen, I can hear them, they're buzzing, and I ain't done nothing since I woke up today. How the hell can a person go to work in the morning and come home in the evening and have nothing to say? Make me an angel, flies from Montgomery. Make me a poster of an old rodeo. Just give me one thing that I can hold on to believe in this living is just a hard way to go.
It's been a long, dark night, and I've been waiting for the morning. It's been a long, hard fight. I can see a brand new day dawning. I've been looking for the sunshine, 'cause I ain't seen it in so long. Everything's gonna work out just fine. Everything's gonna be alright. It's been all wrong, 'cause I can see the light of the morning. I can see the light of the new day. I can see the light of a clear blue morning. Everything's gonna be alright. It's gonna be okay. It's been a long, long time since I've known the taste of freedom and those clinging vines had me bound. Well, I don't need none. Ooh, I've been like a captured
Thank you all for joining us this evening. I hope you've enjoyed yourself at the Silver Stave. The auction and wine pull will be open until 10 p.m. Central, so please make your final bids and keep an eye on your favorite items. You can purchase our most recent album, Live Art, and browse the new Chicago Chamber Choir merchandise shop with clothing and gifts featuring our new logo by choir member Zachary Bird anytime at our website. And don't forget to check out the bonus content for the Silver Stave being released this week, including more cabaret videos and full interviews with collaborating musicians including Charlie Sega, organist from season 22, 23, and hopefully 25, Talar Costigian, principal accompanist, Alex Monroe, and Beyond This Point, with whom we worked on The Little Match Girl Passion this last February, and Paul Dwyer, cellist, who's scheduled to play with us in spring 2021. I want to say a special thank you to Rania Holmes, our general manager. Without her tireless efforts, we would not have been able to have this event this evening. I also want to thank our sponsors, Rogers Park Social, ZGB Design, and Curiouser Designs and Branding. Thank you to all the amazing companies, restaurants, artists, and individuals who made our silent auction possible. Thank you to the artists who I interviewed and all the singers who participated in the cabaret. Please be sure to visit our website and check out all of the bonus content. And thank you to all of you who joined us. With your support, we will be able to continue creating choral art for years to come and emerge from this moment stronger than ever. At its core, the Chicago Chamber Choir is a community of people, singers, collaborative artists, and audience members. This is a community that welcomed me warmly 3 years ago, and one I am proud to be a part of. Thank you for your support of the Chicago Chamber Choir and of each other. Singing is more important now than ever, and I cannot wait to see each of you again soon. As we close this evening, I hope you enjoy our final performance of the 24th season, Unclouded Day, arranged by Sean Kirchner.
Oh, they tell me of a home far beyond the skies. They tell me of a home far away. And they tell me of a home where the storm clouds rise. Oh, they tell me of an unclouded day. Oh, the land of cloudless skies. Oh, the land of an unclouded sky. Oh, they tell me of storm clouds rise. Oh, they tell me of an unclouded day. They tell me of a home. They tell me of